Samidakapi. I tistina hoksina Chazama tapido. Ja, hanat de kisa haska heche imanchache. 1946. We need to get honey bachache. When we need to Gihonia could de Donnie naked the hote why she did when a chihuahua that is walking when wasn't it where what the Dakota water when a yapi when Mishnana could they divo us church the want to go cha Dakota you are walking Hachamucha Duan apete wakacha kiza haska koda kichi tipi wakal hachi o kipcha Dakota odowang na odowang cha kahan wana dako wasa na hechik cha wana wishicha ktaka ki ayapido ka wana dehan wish that dehan wana that dako Dakota Omas pegena wandisha wanda to hante cha is vichoye cha vidushna ted ka when dako what tell when vectors are my when ka my na church hash ka a better day when dida wopi da tanka hecha tak Dakota ya waki eda tak Dakota kia new charged together when is na komp together to keep en spek op die en het je do chimpitera katako was the when was bekeeping a kadakia when het je Skampi when Dakota yapio kitao and Dako was the speva chalpi. That was there. That was still, was there. Kadihan when the Dako was and the Sisi to respect to the Kodakichio kitao, then Dako was and then Neo then Hanna den de ximitar de wana heda omaka okokemak etche den det tak studwag den wekche gena ochicha kapi wachina katukaya det sisituma eapi sisituma hedet Het tokaya det wishicho hipikin sisitu okita waakapi kade wasen ohapi shika tipiko okadapi ja waakapi ka we week at tuma het chajet Tukaya hetu o yato kita that we at chuma. It said had a taco sisiki had a waka behind had a sisi chuma togia chajatopi. It's a one had took that to hand then wasn't it then Okodaki chia okita with Tako wasn't the tiktere wow tipi kdaki. And the tako hetch storiapshni. Eche tako de tokaya tako watching that shichi wow a pekte. Long time ago to translate Sisseton was not Sisseton. In Dakota, we said, our uncles told us it was we at Tumo. village of the marshes because of all the marshes in the area here. So that was what the village was called, Uŋkaŋna. And then when the traders came in, and they say all the fish scales in front, all around the teepees, they said CC, which means fish scales. So that was the interpretation that they had. And so they gave it the name, they changed the name to Sisseton. So that's one oral history that's not recorded, that I just want to share with you at this time. So, when I did well up behind did Oyatu Kita, did Nipi, then Naku was, and when I had Iamani, had Wakoche, Ohana Otipi. We live in a triangle, a reservation. We're the only reservation in the United States that's in a triangle, the only tribe. And I want to say this in English because it's very important for our history to be understood by our younger generation. Maybe they can carry on and do something about this. But at the time, our reservation was, they were surveying this reservation of ours. They started down to the north of Lake Traverse. And the surveyors, they took about half a dozen or so of our tribal members. I'm not sure the exact number. But what they did was they started out along Lake Traverse, the west side of Lake Traverse, from down by the reservation dam. They started coming along Lake Traverse. And instead of going along Big Stone Lake down to the present Minnesota border, what they did when they were coming along Lake Traverse, they got our tribal members drunk. And so they didn't go along Big Stone Lake. They came straight across to the present site of Lake Compeska, how that was surveyed. And then they went, instead of going north, they went to northwest. They went into it's worked out into the North Dakota border now. And then it's back down to that reservation. So we're the only reservation that's in a triangle. But that was all, our land was all, you might say, stolen, because they did not mark off along to the Big Stone on down. And so that's how we lost a lot of our reservation lands. So this is unrecorded history. This is not recorded. And so today, when we think about it, a lot of injustices have been done to our native peoples. So to translate again back to Dakota, I did Dakota Kitavi, the Takuwasita, when the Toga Shkampi. Our people are doing things different now. That's the translation of what I'm saying. When I did Oyatu Kita, when I Takuwasina, Tokchaek, Ektakika, Niu, Ukumpido. We live different now from our past. Echa wanda down Takuwasina. Takuwasina Stoduyapi, and when I Togyakapi. They made everything different from what we learned, what we knew growing up. And so today, in English, this is how we are living with our native people as tribal members. There's a place in English I want to mention that in Sisseton there, when you go to Sisseton, that middle park, Anderson Park it's called. Just to the north of there, along the railroad tracks, there's some big tanks there, oil tanks. Right there was where the teepees were set. That's where the village was at one time. There was a creek running along there, it's still there, but it's covered up now. But that was running water for the tribal people at that time, or Wayuate. So that's where they went and got their drinking water. So our Sisseton people, that's the area where we lived at one time. So this is all unrecorded history. You know, this is oral history because our history is oral. We didn't have a written history except in the winter counts. That was the only thing that was recorded. But a lot of our history was handed down from family to family members that were related. So they all knew about our people, of how we lived. So this is how our people live. That's a dead, ona Dakota, ukita dena wana hana hachin, ni umpi. Wana ke wana did naku was to ya ni umpi da. Hana ke did, that's just a deximi to ditcher umakake. Kadetcher ona da ieska vaki te vishito la pekte do. To the southeast of Sisseton there, just to the south of the Roberts County landfill, there's a hill up there with some trees on top. There was a big rock up there, and it had what they called thunder tracks, wakia owe. That rock had those thunder tracks on it. And that's where the warriors would go to pray before they went out on hunting party, or they went out on to watch, to keep watch on the villages, the people. So that rock was taken from there. It was taken up to Britain, South Dakota, and put in that museum. That museum was on Main Street, and it was there for a while. And then all of a sudden, it disappeared. And so where did that rock go? That belonged to our people. This belonged to our people when the warriors went to pray. Prayer was very important. Excuse me. It was very important the way we prayed and lived. So that rock is very important to our tribal people. So that's a part of our unrecorded history. So perhaps maybe someday the younger generations can research that to find out where that rock went, and they can bring it back, you know, to our tribe, to where it belongs. So to say it in Dakota, I'm going to say it this way. Iam wadechia wake owe. Heched the Dakota akichita hena heched ka ip ka wuchek to ka heta ka is tukter not yap the kip to get hena heche wuchek ya ip che hana ke heta hena iap che. That's where they went from the after prayer. So today there's a lot of our history that's not recorded in books, and these were handed down. These, what I'm telling you was handed down from our uncle. Our uncle was about 90-some years old when he passed on. And so he taught Dakota, that's all he taught. He said a few English, but most of it was always in Dakota. So this is what he told us, you know, growing up. So I just want to share that part of my uncle's background. So today there are other areas that he told us about, and I don't know how much time I got here. We'll be here all day. No, I'm kidding. But one of the things that he told us that I believe it's recorded in history books now is our tribe, our Sisito, we had a lot of land area. It went along the Red River all the way up into Canada, part of Canada, west, and down south along the James River east of Aberdeen, South Dakota, all the way down to the Missouri, across into part of Nebraska, down to there, and then down into Iowa, and all the way into Wisconsin. I guess the estimated land area was some 360 million square acres of land that we had at one time. But today we're in a little triangle. That's all the land that we as Sisito and Wahpetua, it's all we have left now. So this is recorded in the books now. I believe it was written sometime back in the 70s. So you can research that information. You know. But he was very knowledgeable about our land area and this area of what happened. Going to the 1862 uprising, he said we weren't a part of that uprising. The system walked in. So they, our great-grandfather and another great-grandfather, they tried to persuade Uŋkaŋna and Little Crow not to go to war. But because of the young warriors, they wanted war, so Little Crow and Uŋkaŋna went to war in that 1862 uprising. But from then on, you know, we were all dispersed as native Dakota people, Lakota, but they were further west at that time, the Lakota and Nakota. So it's just our Sisito and Wahpetua, they walk into a society, that they were the only ones that, the four that remained, and we were pushed out of Minnesota. So he told us about that even before I read it in the modern day books, you know. So he knew all about that, you know, information. And the Taco wasn't, you know, Dakota, Odan, Niubi, Hena wasn't Hena Stodia. It's a Taco Guna, Hena, when a Owapi, when I bet you that had to Taco wasn't Okokabena was there. So when I took that out now, when I go, you had Owapi, and then the good Hananese was there. It's oral history. That's good now. That's recorded. So we want the people to know the way our people lived a long time ago. And so this is all part of what I remember him telling me. The last thing I'd like to mention was in English is Shichahalo. Shichahalo was the herb capital of the world. All the tribes, enemy tribes that came through, they had a marking on their horse, and they came. We couldn't make war against them. So they came through and they took the medicines that they needed for healing, and then they left. So Shichahalo, when you think about it, it's called reverse psychology. It's reverse psychology because it's not bad. The little people, the tree dwellers, they were the ones that took care of that. Their little spirits, their little people, they took care of that, all the medicines in that area, and they knew which ones were good. And this is how our native peoples got to know all the good medicines that were in that area. So this is a lot of unrecorded history that's not recorded in books. So today, we can be thankful the way our people lived. Our people did not want to make war. We wanted peace. We wanted to live in peace. But there comes a time when we have to do what we have to do to defend our people. So today I just wanted to share that with you. And if you have any questions now, I'll answer as much in Dakota as I can and translate as best I can. How the time I've been doing.